News24 reported today that South Africa's Director of International Relations and Cooperation had issued a demarche to U.S. Ambassador Brent Bozell over his comments at a Biz News conference in Hermanus. In the story, News24 used some misleading content. Mock, simulated, hypothetical, or staged materials such as documents, photos, or physical items used to reconstruct crime scenes, prepare for trials, or teach legal principles like admissibility, authentication, and relevance. That's what mock evidence is. Now, the word mock itself refers to ridiculing, mimicking, or defying someone or something, or acting as fake in imitation. It implies scornful intimidation as a verb, or a sham as an adjective. News24's article today, Bozell Demarche for undiplomatic conduct. Now, that story includes misleading comments posted in a news story that are opinion, not news, and poorly supported by opinion at that. The article incorrectly claims Ramaphosa was confronted with mock evidence of the mass killing of Afrikaners. Now let's discuss that evidence that President Trump presented last year in the Oval Office in May. What documents did Trump present as evidence? During the meeting, Trump held up a series of articles which he claimed showed evidence of white farmer killings in South Africa. There was an image clearly visible as Trump spoke and said, "Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being murdered." But the image wasn't from South Africa. It's actually a report about women being killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Trump was incorrect. However, the media chose to also be wrong. While Trump was likely mistaken or poorly briefed or informed by his staff, the media, like News24, intentionally neglected context and used the error to discredit the situation, neglecting the context. Demonically possessed to undermine anything Trump states, the fact-checkers went into overdrive, led by the French press agency, AFP. The French news agency initially pointed out that the image, and BBC Verify ran a search and confirmed it as being from a Reuters news agency clip filmed in the DRC in Goma in February of 2025. Correct! And here's the article where the image actually came from. It's not in South Africa. It did occur in Goma, DRC. It is a screenshot from the Reuters video. The footage from which the picture was taken shows a mass burial following an M23 assault on Goma, filmed by Reuters video journalist Jafar al-Katanti. But that's not germane. Nor is it honest for Reuters or News24 to ignore the article. Trump was mistaken when he claimed that photograph represented white farmers. But that doesn't change the story. Are the media dishonest? You decide. The photo was from a Reuters article, but the news story was not from Reuters. Aha! It came from a blog post. The blog post showed to Ramaphosa by Trump during the White House meeting was published by American Thinker, a conservative online magazine about conflict and racial tensions in South Africa and Congo. Now, we can debate the merits of relying on a blog post or a conservative site for commentary in South Africa, but then again, we can say the same thing about the reliability of Reuters and News24's coverage. Although there was a DRC image on the page, the article was indeed about the DRC and about South Africa. The post, which referred to what it called Ramaphosa's dysfunctional, race-obsessed Marxist government, had pointed out the increasing pressure placed on white South Africans. So in fact, the article, while that image Trump got caught up in the moment, was not dead white farmers, the story did indeed talk about the attacks on South Africans who are white. Now, this is context that's lacking in virtually every single news story about the event in the Oval Office. And even the few, like Reuters, who subsequently reported on this, they don't focus on that. They focus on what Trump said. Now, an objective news outlet would give you the full story. News24 does not do that. News24 chooses to falsely claim mock evidence was presented. The News24 article incorrectly claims Ramaphosa was confronted with mock evidence of the mass killing of Afrikaners. Now, as far as the rest of the evidence aside from that article, Trump was incorrect when he stated the 1,000 white crosses in Normandy were burial sites. But that doesn't negate the reality that each represented the name of a murdered white South African killed on a farm under ANC rule, a fact nearly always ignored by the mainstream media in their demonic obsession with proving Trump wrong. He was incorrect. Move on. Critical context and factual information are necessary to be an informed viewer. This is something left out by News24 and by the mainstream media. Now, as far as the ambush, an ambush? Ramaphosa begged for the meeting. Trump cleared his calendar to accommodate South Africa. Ramaphosa rocked up 43 minutes late, making the leader of the free world wait for him. Trump presented videos of former ANC members who embarrassed South Africa, Jacob Zuma and Julius Malema. Zuma calling for the murder of white South Africans while he was president of South Africa, and Malema doing it as a leader of an opposition party. But Trump did not intentionally embarrass the ANC. He left out footage of Ramaphosa, of Fikile Mabalula, of Ibrahim Rasool, of Gwede Mantashe, or Ronald Lamola insulting America or attacking its interest. Or also video of Ramaphosa mocking Trump, like he did after he came back from the 2018 UN conference in New York. Had Trump sought to humiliate Ramaphosa, this would have been far uglier than it was. If the media were objective, they would have been honest about that. Now, it's strange that the media failed to note any of these facts I've just mentioned. News24 also attempts to paper over the deeply offensive language Ramaphosa used to attack President Trump in his recent New York Times article interview, choosing a single quote rather than mentioning the repeated unwarranted attacks that Ramaphosa made on President Trump. In a totally gratuitous attack on the United States. No reason or basis for it whatsoever. No doubt, News24 had little choice to include at least one comment to explain Bozell's statement that Ramaphosa had insulted President Trump. They have to leave something in there. But folks, this is yet another example of media being dishonest. There are no mock evidence presented here. There were clearly misstatements and a couple factual errors by President Trump in that meeting. But it doesn't change the fact that thousands of South Africans are murdered, that there is violence all over the country, that the government has put 145 race-based laws to oppress the minority. It doesn't change any of that. It doesn't change the fact that farmers are murdered on their farms, that farm workers are murdered on the farms, that farm managers are murdered on the farms. It doesn't change that at all. It doesn't change that chanting for the murder of white people is morally repulsive. The media's dishonesty, and here, mock evidence. There's no mock evidence. The mock evidence is what's presented in this News24 article. Someone should refer them to the press ombudsman for editorializing in a news story. There's no mock evidence. I've just proven to you the evidence is correct. Trump's misstatements do not negate the evidence. The evidence speaks for itself. There's no mock evidence here. The only mockness going on here is the media trying to mock the public with its misleading article. What say you, South Africa? Mzansi, do you agree or disagree? Cheers.